There are a few campers like JP Kale, a few who are as respectful, fun-loving, and caring as he is. JP is the ultimate jack of all trades, well-rounded to the point where he can connect with campers and staff alike. JP is one of the most caring people I've ever met, caring to the point where each connection he makes with others is a deep and genuine one. JP brightens up your day instantly with his pure attitude and reminds you to smile over the little things in life. I first met JP in D session a few years back. After getting to know him, I all but demanded that he and his brother come back for a longer session the next summer. What I remember so distinctly that summer was how mature he was, how he was able to befriend people on staff close to 10 years older than him, while also being able to be a leader among his peers, as well as a younger camper fan favorite. Watching JP have maturity levels of an experienced counselor in the manner in which he carries himself around younger campers is truly a joy to watch. It's because JP understands that when he was in those campers' shoes, he looked up to older campers and staff as the ultimate role models, and every positive interaction he shares with campers will be remembered by them for the rest of their lives. As Maya Angelou once said, people may forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. JP remembers the leaders and staff members that made camp feel like home for him. And he understands that he can be that figure to look up to for hundreds of campers. JP's infectiously positive attitude rubs off on anyone who interacts with him, and he leaves you in a better mood than you were before you saw JP that day. It was also remarkable to see JP coming into his Voyager year. Staff and campers alike who had not stayed D session in the past did not know him like I did. He climbed the ranks so quickly, for lack of a better term, among his year, and he became tight with staff in an instant. JP is a sociable guy who spreads his cheer to all those around him. He is truly too generous to bear a grudge and too good-natured to pick flaws in others. There's not a mean bone in JP's body, so much so that it makes me crack up when he tries to be mad. JP has always been a natural leader, but watching him grow further into his role as an Iroquois leader and completing the Iroquois rebuild, might I add, this summer has made me excited for the future of camp, knowing that he, as well as the other amazing 7 Durers up here tonight will soon transition to staff, helping to care for the well-being of this place from an official position. In my opinion, the greatest part about Camp Dearborn is coming back year after year, seeing kids grow into caring young men who love camp and make it what it is. And this is a unique year where the older L4 are preparing to lose a summer they've been looking forward to for years. JP and his fellow peers found a way to maximize their time up here and their experiences because they know they are crucial and scarce. Perhaps the fondest memory I shared with JP this summer was running with him and my fellow Iroquois on the way to a first place Pugawugan finish. Seeing him keep a cool head in the most stressful time as a leader was so amazing to watch, and him and Strickland calmed the kids with nerves of steel like the genuine leader they both are. Their eccentric energy radiates among the campers and gave each member of the Iroquois a memory that he will never forget. I think of JP as one of my best friends at camp. And I know he is 2 years younger than me, but I find myself looking up to your lead more often than not. It's easy when it's a guy who is thoughtful and cares deeply about the people around him. He doesn't just talk to you. He gets to know you and values the connections he holds because he understands that a place alone is nothing without a strong group of connected individuals. This is why JP is an exceptional Camp Dearborn leader, because the example he sets of inclusivity among all ages at Dearborn boosts the morale of the entire camp. He makes every boy feel like a king up here. JP's spirit reminds me of a lot of a guy that goes by the name Derek Harms, a man who brings people together without even trying, one with a natural ability to make everyone around him, even if they have never met before, feel like they had gained a companion who any camper or staff member could come to and feel better than they did before they'd seen JP. JP, like all of us, grew up from boys into men at this amazing place, and now he understands that it's his turn to give back to the place that gave us all so much. While JP's camper career closes here with him tonight, it is by no means the end of his time up here. There are plenty more years left for JP to gift camp with his presence. And I know he will continue to lead by example and further grow as a person, like we all do up here every summer. I've said about all I can about JP's love for camp, and he will obviously speak his own mind shortly. But before I wrap up here, JP, if there's one thing I learned in my time up here, it's that time moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every once in a while, you could miss it. Your time up here is precious and limited, and you have to take advantage of it. To steal a line from the Deerhorn leadership programs, sleep when you're dead. Take advantage of every opportunity you have here, and make the most of the time you have with your best friends at this special place. So enjoy it, and enjoy the people around you. Without further ado, I present to you one of the 2021 Iroquois leaders, John Paul Kale.
What is camp? To an outsider, Deerhorn may seem like it is just a piece of land on North Pelican Lake in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, just an ADOC, a soccer field, a baseball field, and a skeeter. Any person who has ever come to camp would tell you otherwise. It is a place where boys become men and people meet lifelong friends, no matter if they are a camper or a counselor. Camp is a place that urges you to go out of your comfort zone and expand your horizons far past what you thought they could reach. Camp is the most special place on earth, and it is so special because year in and year out, it is filled with special people. I first came to camp as a 10-year-old for E-session in the summer of 2014. I had never been away from my parents for more than 2 to 3 days, so coming for 5 days was going to be a stretch. When I first arrived at camp, I was immediately overwhelmed by everything that was going on and spent the first couple days of the session just wandering around, hoping I would end up in the right place. That was until one night in Coogee 11, when there were raccoons invading the trash cans outside the Coogee. I was so afraid that the raccoons would be able to open the door and would come and get me in my bed that I went to the ODs 3 times that night alone. Unfortunately for me, every time the ODs tried to do something about the raccoons, they would just run away into the forest and come back 10 minutes later when nobody else was around. I spent the night wide awake in my bed until my counselor at the time, Rocco Mangan, came back into the Coogee. I begged him to move his bed in front of the door to block the raccoons from coming in. And when he did, it was that act of kindness that made me realize the special people here at camp. Even an act as small as that, at however late it was at night, it inspired me to enjoy camp, and I wasn't afraid anymore. Camp is a special place because it is filled with special people. For most of my camper career, I was just a D-session guy, only coming up for the last 10 days of the summer until my 15-year-old year, when I came for both B and C session and went on the Voyager Leadership Program. I remember Patrick asking me the summer before if I would ever want to spend more time at camp and apply to the program, and I immediately said yes. The reason I wanted to go on that trip was because of when I first met Nick Charlton, Nick Chu, and Henry McQueen, who stayed for D session after they had gone on Voyager. They included me with everything and were always talking about how awesome of a time they had. Seeing the way that they made sure the other campers were doing okay no matter what age they were really inspired me, and I wanted to go on Voyager because I wanted to be like them. A place that can bring kids back and keep them entertained, whether they are 7-year-olds or working here at 22, shows the community that Deerhorn offers. Camp will always be there for you, regardless if you are at home, at camp, or whenever you just need a friend to talk to. As I've grown older at camp, I've begun to appreciate the Deerhorn Creed for more than just a laminated piece of paper in my Coogee. Almost every line in the Creed can be attributed to certain counselors and the deeds that they will do to help you improve. Throughout the Creed, there are 2 lines that stick out to me the most. First, to be kind, because manliness requires kindness. I don't think anyone could read this line and not think of George Landsberg, who is easily one of the most inclusive and kindest people I've ever met. I've never seen George in a bad mood, even after he broke his arm and had to go home, and he is always ready to share a laugh with you, regardless if you're in Coogee 2 or Coogee 22. This summer especially, I got on a horse for the first time, and George was always right next to me, helping me to conquer my fear and encouraging me to go out of my comfort zone. My other favorite quote from the Creed would be to aim for self-improvement. This quote is all what camp is about, and I think there's no one who more embodies this quote than Philip Myers. Phil and I have talked multiple times this summer about how much he has improved in sailing and how he has transferred his knowledge and love of sailing onto the next generation of campers. Phil even completed a task that some would thought would be impossible, teaching Eli Whitney to sail. And it has been amazing being able to get closer to Phil and really be able to call him my friend. Although my leader summer may be coming to a close, I've made countless memories and countless friends that I will never forget. This has been the best summer of my life. First, I would like to thank my brother, Teddy. You are my best friend. and you helped me through the sadness of camp being canceled last summer, which I am forever grateful for you doing. This year alone, you have matured massive amounts, and you're a great person who inspires me every day. Being able to experience my leader summer while you were going on Pioneer and Voyager was something that I'm grateful for, and I am proud of you for stepping up and being a leader, no matter the circumstances. Next, I would like to thank the special events crew, TJ and Jack Farrell, who have organized some amazing Sunday events and always helped us feel included with the counselors and the campers. I know how much harder your job was this summer because of the 8 leaders, and you guys absolutely killed it with everything. I would also like to thank Kiana for taking the leaders out for our ENSs and always being a friend for us to talk to, regardless of what we need. Next, thank you to Nick Charlton for giving my intro speech this year and always being a role model and pushing me to be a better leader and a better friend. The Broadbridges, who I'd like to thank for running this camp, my home away from home, no matter how difficult a year it may have been with COVID. You guys have helped thousands of kids, and you will help thousands more. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a better person and grow as a brother, a son, a man, and a leader. This is heaven on earth, and it's not hard to see that there will be another 100 years of camp. To my 15-year-olds and my campers, who have helped me inspire the kids and urge them to do their best when Will and I couldn't be around. I couldn't have asked for a better group of friends, and you guys all have bright futures ahead of you. Next, to my past leaders, who helped craft me into the person I am today, regardless if I was 12 years old or 15 years old. You guys were all my inspiration, and I work every day to be more like you, a good friend and a good leader. I'd like to especially thank Nate Tanner and Henry McQueen, who helped me grow throughout my teenage years at camp, were positive role models for me, whether I was at camp or at home. To my fellow 2020-ders, we've waited for this summer for a long time. I'm glad we stayed close together, even through the tough times of camp getting canceled. To the younger 4, the 2021 leaders, who I have bonded with a lot this summer, I could not think of a better group of co-leaders than with you guys. Charlie Halpin, although we may have just met 2 years ago, I'm so happy that we got to become closer this year, and I can call you one of my best friends. Our times playing the ranch game on the lower basketball court and watching Outer Banks with you will not be forgotten soon. Your witty humor never fails to brighten my day, and your competitive spirit pushes me forward every day. To Jack Reiner, my hockey teammate and friend, I was so excited when I heard the news that you were going to be a leader that day in the locker room, and you truly are not only a great teammate, but a great friend and an even better leader. To Eli Whitney, we grew close our 15-year-old year, and I was sad to see you go home early from camp, but being able to spend these 8 weeks with you has shown me how truly special a person you are. From the bus ride up to camp for a session, to learning how to sail the Hobie together just 2 days ago, our friendship is far from over, and we both have years of fun to have together at camp. To Owen Flom, who I met so many years ago at my brother's hockey games. You never fail to make me laugh, and although you may be the 3rd fastest kid in camp, you're still a great leader for your team and a great brother to Luke, pushing me to improve every day. To Inigo Banos, my first real friend at camp. Year in and year out, you were always there for D session, and I could always count on you to be someone to talk to and someone that was always entertaining to hang out with. From our time in K-19 and getting to go into town to watch Mission Impossible to now, we may have gotten older, but you were still the same friend that I made when I was 11. To Nate Affolter, who's been my grade school friend for as long as I could remember. We may not be playing flag football at recess together anymore, but this summer has grown our bond together infinitely. I'm forever grateful for that. To Will Strickland, my co-leader and my rock. We've been through a lot this summer, and I'm so glad we got to become friends and connect. From our pizza man meetings with Tanner on the sailing beach to now, I know that I can always depend on you and call you at any time, anywhere to talk to you when I need a friend. I could not ask for a better co-leader, and although it would have been fun to have you as a Voyager last year, I could not have asked for a better arrangement with a better best friend than with you. Finally, to my parents, who sent me to camp every year, no matter how much they wanted me to stay with them at home. I love you both, and you guys don't know how much sending me up here to camp each summer has helped me as a person. I know it was hard to have both your sons be away from home for such a long time this summer, but I owe you everything for sending us up here. I love you guys, and you are true role models for everything I do in life. Thank you for always being on my team, and thank you for always supporting Teddy and I through thick and thin. Thank you all.
Are you murdered in the city? Don't go revenging in my name. and dead from such as plenty. No need to go get locked away. When I leave your arms, things that I think of, no need to get over alarmed. I'm coming home. Wonder which brother is better, which one our parents love the most. I sure did get in lots of trouble. They seem to let the other go. Tear fell from my father's eyes. I wonder what my dad would say. He said, I love you and I'm proud of you both in so many different ways. If I get murdered in the city, go read the letter in my desk. Don't bother with all my belongings, but pay attention to the list. Make sure my sister knows I loved her. Make sure my sister knows I loved her. Make sure my mother knows the same. Always remember there was nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name. Always remember there was nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name.
It is with great appreciation and humility that I stand before you this evening. I would like to give a special welcome to everyone who traveled here from near and far. Your presence here truly makes this evening special for all 8 leaders being celebrated here tonight. And I want to give my congratulations to all the leaders, the amazing 8. Now, it is my distinct honor to introduce the 2021 co-leader of the Iroquois team, Will Strickland. Imagine browsing the titles of books lining the shelves in a bookstore. You pick up a novel. It's titled Will Strickland, His Camper Years. Tonight, I will read to you some of the pages in this novel, highlighting certain chapters in the book. The chapter titled Perseverance. Tried and failed. Tried again. Some improvement, little steps. But never, never did Will give up. On the road to becoming an excellent slalom skier and wakeboarder, Will encountered various bumps in the process. He acknowledged the struggles, but he accepted the challenges. And with the faith that talent, perseverance, and sheer tenacity, eventually he did prevail. Success was achieved due to hard work, mental fortitude, and the heart of a champion. The chapter titled Kindness. Kindness can speak when mere words cannot. In any situation, Will is there offering to help. He was a regular helper at Milkline, an adjunct counselor covering junior tables in the dining hall, and a mentor to campers offering advice and comfort. Win, lose, no matter. Will maintained an even keel when encouraging his teammates. The chapter talks about surrounding yourself with people like Will. Will's easygoing demeanor elicits laughter, happiness, and the understanding that he genuinely cares. This chapter closes with a simple phrase. In Doggy's words, Will is a nice guy. The chapter titled Character. Napoleon Hill once said, "The strongest oak tree of the forest is not the one protected from the storm and hidden from the sun. It is the one that stands out in the open, where it is compelled to struggle for its existence against the winds and the scorching sun." Will, our towering oak tree. One first thinks of Will's strength in his newly elongated physical stature, his striking presence, his sinewy body frame, his all four directionally flowing locks of hair. More concealed, though, is his strength of heart. His heart acts as a compass, choosing inclusivity, honesty, compassion, and integrity. Will was tossed the mantle of leadership. He responded wearing this mantle with grace and humility. Will, remember in turbulent times, always use your heart as your compass, and you will never go wrong. For it is a heart that coursing through it is a glorious affirmation of vitality, a heart that bleeds Deerhorn blue. The chapter titled Friendship. Will, a kindred spirit. Will and I both share a love of reading. During downtimes in his younger camper years, Will would be seen engrossed in a book. Conversations about books would follow. As a friend, Will is someone who makes you look forward to tomorrow. He is original, yet genuine, quiet in voice, but thunderous in action. Will embraces the differences in others. With Will as your friend, he helps to raise one's standards. We all need people like Will in our lives because he reminds us of our essential purpose, and he challenges us to become the best version of ourselves. The last line in this chapter reads, "Will's friendship is unconditional. It is rich with acceptance." The chapter titled Leadership. The strongest leaders are not those who show strength in front of us, but those who win battles we know nothing about. Will is in the background, quietly doing the things that need to be done, thus enriching the lives of those around him. I ask members of the Iroquois team, how many battles were won and lost this season? Will, as your leader, was there encouraging, supporting, and comforting. He was there giving high fives and non-approved COVID hugs. Will created an environment of trust. His teammates, his opponents, his peers, and the staff witnessed a young man making decisions, offering ideas, solving problems, formulating possibilities. His actions were concise, his words well chosen. The last line in this chapter reads, Will Strickland has got your back." The final chapter. When reading a great book, you never want it to end. Will, tonight your camper years come to a close. In the grand scheme of things, you've made the most of your time here. This summer, you have given full service to your Iroquois team and to the entire Deerhorn family. Let this not be the end. Hopefully, the last 3 words in the Will Strickland novel, His Camper Years, ends with these 3 words: to be continued. It is my honor to present to you Will Strickland.
I didn't start the process of my speech or asking people to assist me during this campfire until late because I was not ready to admit to myself that this year and my entire camper career were finally coming to a close. It feels like just yesterday when I first got on that Lamers bus at a desolate park and ride in Milwaukee, knowing nobody nor the effect that those steps would have on the rest of my life. That was in 2013, and my 8-year-old self had no idea what I was getting myself into and the overwhelmingly positive effect this place would have on me. From my first days in Coogee 2 with Kevin Crawford and Palmer Taylor until today, my last day as a camper in Coogee 3 with Jacko and the other stellar 16-year-old Durs. The first step in writing this speech was finding a peaceful spot around camp that had significance to me. I first tried the IDOC, then the float boat, but neither of those worked, so I moved to the office. But that didn't suffice either, due to the rowdy croon below and some very audibly intense foosball matches. While significant, none of these places sparked the inspiration I wanted. My final and successful writing location was the inside of Coogee 3. It was a peaceful, memory-filled, and maybe most importantly, mosquito-free environment. The Coogee was a mess, as it had been since we moved in after B. And if Blaine had inspected the dining hall would have been filled with a cacophony of oohs, as he would have asked us to stay after. But the egregious state the Coogee had fallen into only made it more Deerhorn. Camp is not a place to live cleanly, but a place to learn how to work through imperfection and any adversity you can, on your own. This will be a long speech filled with many thank yous, so I'll start with one. Thank you, Camp Deerhorn, for making me the person I am today and giving me a place to grow into the best version of myself. A lesson that I was taught this year was one of perseverance and the importance of never losing hope. There have been 6 Sunday events this summer, and the Iroquois have only either gotten first or last. Not once were we in the middle of the pack. It appears we always went big or we went home. Those ups and downs and placements made summer like a seesaw, of me thinking that we should be in first, and after the next Sunday stumbles around that we should be in dead last. Up and down the Iroquois went on our Sunday seesaw. We would bend our knees, absorbing the impact of the last place finish, but then use those bent knees to propel ourselves upwards, flying off the ground to win the next Sunday event. This helped me learn that everything has its ups and downs, and that you just need to power through and enjoy the ride while it lasts. One thing that never crossed my mind while daydreaming about being a leader were the friends that you make. This year, I became family with so many more people than ever before. Since the leaders are a perfect mix of camper and staff, I got the pleasure of befriending everyone on staff and being able to become actual, genuine friends with many counselors and ACs. I had always known Jack Greco as the guy who got mad at me when I asked to see his eye at the counselor hockey game in 2016, but this year he became so much more than that. He became a true friend. The same goes for Evan Platnick and Ryan Zweef, 2 guys I'd barely known but quickly became family members in Coogee 1. This especially came with past Iroquois leaders. I hadn't known McKinley well, and I only knew Thistle as the Voyager who 10-minuted me in Pugawuggan when I was 11. I had already known Charlton and Tanner well, as they were probably my 2 favorite leaders. Yet, I still grew closer with them as well this summer. JP and I were adopted into the rebuild. The plan to end our 7-year wind drought by the Iroquois Brethren, and I don't think that if there's a family I'd rather be a part of than the Iroquois with my brothers in red. The bonding and creation of friendships do not just pertain to staff, but also the amazing people who I was lucky enough to have be a part of the 2021 Iroquois. I'm so grateful for everyone who's a part of this team, because everyone brought something special to the table. Whether that be Fisher Nichols with his absolute swagger during A, or the optimism brought by Jack Molman during B, or Alex's infectious smile during C, or maybe it was just the positive attitude and well-needed energy boost brought by every person who got here for D. Camp friendships are not only about who is on your team, but there are many, many other campers who helped make this year as special as it was. Even if they weren't on the Iroquois, kids like George Birmingham and Bennett Blaustein, who just radiated camp spirit and made my day every time I talked to them. Thanks, guys. Another lesson learned here was how to balance being competitive and respectful while prioritizing fun for myself and, more importantly, everyone on the team. Since I was now the leader of the team, I had to be the one setting the example, and I could no longer be the guy who threw his flag down out of rage and cursed under his breath one pulled in Braveheart. I had to grow up and mature to be able to say, "Nice pull," and walk away gracefully. I feel like this camp maturing was a bit rushed since I never got my 15-year-old year here, but I think that it may have been even more important to learn it this year when there's even more added responsibility. That added responsibility of being a leader forced me to mature faster. But this new maturity was about more than just managing my fiercely competitive spirit. It showed me that I needed to learn to have fun in the moment, even when losing. I think that everyone can think back on a bad Sunday event when everything went wrong, or they underperformed and realized that it was still a lot of fun. Yet this is a lot harder to actually do in the moment. Have fun when you're losing. As a leader, your emotions dictate the emotions of the whole team. So if I were to give up halfway through an event, the whole team would just give up as well. It took until a rough treasure hunt on my part to notice that even if I'm down after a loss, there are people to pick me up. My negative energy was palpable to the whole team. I highly appreciated when my A-session campers picked me up after I couldn't find that treasure for so long during treasure hunt. But that also made me realize that was not their job. That should have been my job for them. And camp has taught me so much about that. I'm so grateful that I was offered to be a leader since I've always looked up to my past ones. From Jack Landsberg when I was 8 to Nate Tanner last year. Leaders have always seemed like these angelic and perfect figures, and I wanted to both be like that and more naively to be seen like that. I have to credit my desire to being a leader to every single one I've had. All 7 of them have had a big impact on my life as I stared up with them with Beanie Boo-like eyes, wanting to be just like them when I was older. I also did not realize how much work being a leader was, and that's why I'm so glad that JP was here and he split it with me and became my brother in the process. There's no better place to start my thank yous than here, so here we go. Thank you, JP, for always being there and giving us the best leader dynamic I could have asked for being receptive to my changes and keeping the work equal, for not claiming he was the alpha leader just because he was older, and for understanding that we are equals. Thank you for our IDOC talks and FLOPO meetings, for our presence in every activity, and your positive spirit and energy that went towards the team. And even though we were co-leaders, you still felt like my leader in a good way. That you were my role model and showed me how to lead our team even better. I love you, man, and I'm so happy that I got to spend this summer with you. I also want to thank the other 6 leaders for making this the best summer of my life, as my 2016 leader, Tuna, said. To all of you for making it so competitive and fun in every which way. For our tent pizza dinners and the no laughing game, which I may have been the worst person ever at. But that was one of my favorite memories of this year. For all of our LA bonding. Sitting at the same table, managing to all fit into the Suburban, going on a treasure hunt, thanks Halpin. All surviving the triathlon, our after scalp talks, our beautiful caddying outfits, our post-chariot photo shoot, and our after the campfire meeting last Sunday. And so many more pure moments this summer. Thank you to Charlie Halpin for being the leader that I knew he would be last year when I voted for him. For his sly smile and quick jokes and odd would-you-rather questions that never fail to start a conversation and end it with a laugh. For being there on Pioneer and being one of the most inclusive 15-year-olds last year. For putting himself in the line of fire to stand up for the 14-year-old Pioneers and making it so we come to the MASH. To Eli Whitney, the guy who I've always had a California connection with and who I used to tease about having the same name as the inventor of the cotton gin while waiting to storm into the dining hall. An overall great guy who threatened to fit check me every day, yet thank God, never did. A leader on Pioneer and a great tennis player. Someone who I am ever thankful to have become close friends with and who I'm excited to have drive down the whole hour and a half to visit me during the other months of the year. A competitive individual who still manages to not lose focus on the fun in everything, and someone who I have learned from and know I will continue to be influenced by. To Inigo Baños, a guy who has quite literally always been there for me at camp. I don't remember much from my first year, but apparently he and I had a little rivalry. I'm glad that we got to continue it for a whole 8 years. While you are a terrifying scout player who I may have suicidally gotten 2 banks for Secret Santa, you're still a leader in every nature. Last year, as I was about to board the bus home at the end of C, you told me that you did not want to come back as a leader, and that since you didn't win the knife, you were never going to escape your brother's shadow. But after this year, I think every single person here knows that that is not true. You are so much more than an award or position, and you don't need to compare yourself to anyone. I love you, man, and if you can't come back next year, we'll miss you severely, but I want you to know that you're in all of our hearts nonetheless. To Jack Reiner, my brother, the guy who I was so close to asking if he had declined to be a leader, but who I'm still so glad got the position in the end. Being on the same team as you for the past 2 years and getting to become such good friends with you was truly an honor. Your infectious positive attitude always helps when I'm down, and not once this summer do I think I've seen you without a smile on your face. You're always just spreading sunshine and good cheer just for the fun of it. You're just always there. If I need to grab something from the hall, you'd come with me, or if I wanted to get a Gatorade, you'd come. You're just that guy. You're the textbook definition of a perfect Deerhorn camper, and I love you as well. To Owen Flom, the lovable punk that was in my first Coogee and has been for 8 sessions since. You're a great guy, and our ever-present rivalry and chirping has always made our time together fun. From leaving the scout field in ruins while on Tuna and Parker's teams, to holding the American flag on the 4th of July while double water skiing, to being our time goblin on Pioneer and somehow managing to keep up with you for our 4-mile run earlier this year, to allegedly taking the dawdle for a spin to the quarter-mile sign and always taking the laser back in the day, even if sometimes we had to get towed in, to always letting me snag a Pop-Tart or sharing an earbud on water park days, and just always being there for each other at camp. To Nate Affolter, the guy who you just can't dislike. The guy who is at camp to have fun and shares the spirit with everyone else around him. The guy who enjoys whacking things with machetes as much as I do, and who is just a lovable goon. Someone who hits a gallon jug with a croquet mallet because they can, or someone who just takes light bulbs. Nate has always been that spontaneous guy who, if you hang around, you'll have fun with. Nate just knows how to have fun in any situation, and even though his clothes pollute the floor of our bunk, I still love him. Camp would not run, nor would we have as close to as much fun without the counselors. The position of leader is perfect for leading staff and creating genuine friendships with them, things that were always hard as a camper. First, I'd like to thank TJ and Jacko for being our special events guys this year. TJ for being a great special events person, and just an overall great guy who I never really talked to before this year, but I'm so glad that I did. And Jacko for being our Coogee counselor, always having fun with us in there, and being our camp dad. I became so much closer with these guys this year, and I'm so glad that I did. Then, to the counselors in more general. Being a leader lets me enter the staff world, and doing so I was able to make so many friendships with counselors and ACs. To Doggy, my 3-time Coogee counselor who never fails to put a smile on my face. He encouraged me to go biking more, and has shown me how much fun biking can be. He always had a positive attitude and is great with kids, as he was with me in Coogee 10 twice, and Coogee 15 once. Doggy never fails to make my day, and I'm so glad you chose to come back and stay for me. Camp wouldn't be the same without you. To DK for writing my speech and taking me around the lake so many times throughout the last 8 years, and especially this year during his 10-minute breaks. I vividly remember my first year getting up on water skis on my second try and making it halfway around the lake. Later that day, you brought me a Hershey's bar to congratulate me, and I could never forget that feeling of pure joy. I'd also like to thank DK for teaching me all that I know while being pulled behind a boat, and his patience and motivation when it took me oh so long to learn to swim. Lastly, I'd like to thank McKinley for playing the song for me tonight. I apologize to you for waiting until last night to ask you. That's my bad, but I'm so glad that you were able to play it for us. Now I'd like to thank the Broadbridge family for creating such a special place for all people who enter, and for giving me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of being a leader, for fostering this environment for me and having developed a second home and second family. And especially Kiana for doing so much for me in L8 this year, even though you never taught me to drive Big Green. Lastly, I'd like to thank my parents for sending me back here every summer and letting me be away from home for so long, year in and year out. To my mom, who would make sure to be ready the second the Campminder portal opened up, racing to get me a spot every year. And my dad for always sending me the baseball scores and long letters when I was younger, and for his continual support. It's sad to see this year come to a close, to finally extinguish the flame than were my years at camp. But this is no end of Camp Dearborn for me. I still have many years on staff and leader reunions to host. I still have father-sons to attend to with my kids in years to come, and I still have another family here. I will miss camp and everyone that makes camp every day for the next 10 months. I love all of you, and I'm so honored I got to spend this summer with you. And as the song that Palmer Taylor played for me every night in Coochie 2, I'd like to thank all of you for making this place my home.
Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road. Although this wave's stringing us along, just you know you're not alone. I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay a mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. Trouble, it might get you down if you are lost.